Mitchell Phillips here, and welcome back to another video on Forza Horizon 4. Today we're going to be going over if rear wheel drive is going to be superior to all wheel drive on the drag strip, but also this will apply to the track as well. As you guys know, in Horizon 3 from S1 all the way up to X-Class, all-wheel drive tunes dominated rear-wheel drive, and I'm really happy and excited that that is not going to be the case in Horizon 4. Regardless of if rear-wheel drive is better or worse than all-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive is still going to be something you guys are going to be able to realistically use and still compete really well against all-wheel drive cars in Forza Horizon 4. With the addition of drag radials in Forza Horizon 4, of course, we had to test if rear-wheel drive could compete on the drag strip, an area where it would get completely annihilated by all-wheel drive in Horizon 3. So we went ahead and took the 1969 Dodge Charger RT. We engine swapped it for the 6.2 liter V8 DSC, which I am happy to say is pushing over 1,000 horsepower, which means V12 engines all over the place is no longer going to be a thing. You can now make a substantial amount of power with other various engines, and I believe in some cases you can actually make more power than if you use the V12. So we're going to take this car as a rear-wheel drive setup and with an all-wheel drive setup and compare the differences on paper and on the track. Starting off, to get you guys a look at the stats, the power is going to be at 1,047 horsepower with 901 foot-pounds of torque, with the weight varying depending on whether we're using all-wheel drive or rear-wheel drive. Starting off with the rear-wheel drive setup, on paper we have a 0 to 60 of 2.12 seconds with a 0 to 100 of 5.53 seconds. All-wheel drive beats it on the 0 to 60 with 2.024 seconds, and a 0 to 100 that actually loses, getting 5.625 seconds. So basically the rear wheel drive loses by a tenth in 0 to 60 and wins by about a tenth in 0 to 100. First thing I want to say about this is, if you can put the power down and modulate the throttle well, on the track, rear wheel drive might actually get you some slightly better acceleration exiting corners. A lot of corners you're going to be exiting at about 70-80 miles an hour already, and if the 0 to 100 is faster than the 0 to 100 on the all-wheel drive setup, I think it's only safe to say that is only going to help you around the track. Of course though, we have to acknowledge the 0 to 60 is still going to be incredibly important on the drag strip, where the all-wheel drive setup is winning by 1/10. Now, interestingly enough, in Horizon 3, switching a car from rear-wheel drive to all-wheel drive usually meant a loss in top speed. Rear-wheel drive got you more top-end speed out of your vehicles, but in Horizon 4 it seems like they're virtually the same. If not, all-wheel drive has seemingly had a slight edge over rear-wheel drive. We see with the rear-wheel drive setup we're getting 234.1 miles an hour, and then with all-wheel drive 234.7, so only 0.6 of a mile an hour difference, but that still is a difference and definitely something to take into account. To summarize it all, the rear-wheel drive system is going to win when it comes to weight, actually saving over 100 pounds, about 150 pounds over the all-wheel drive setup, and is also going to win when it comes to 0 to 100 time. The all-wheel drive system wins slightly when it comes to top speed, and also is going to take the W when it comes to 0 to 60 times. Now, when I tested these on the track, unfortunately I made a big flaw, so I apologize for that, but the cars were the exact same except for one important fact, and that was the transmission. On the all-wheel drive we had the race transmission, and the rear-wheel drive, for some reason I left the stock transmission in there, and that of course is going to negatively affect our times. I believe it affects shift time, it's a heavier transmission, and we're unable to tune the gear ratios. On both cars we actually didn't touch the gear ratios at all. I had planned to put the race transmission in both and drive them with the exact same gear ratios to give you guys a really accurate representation, but that didn't end up happening. So for the 0 to 60 on the rear wheel drive setup, we have 1.95 seconds. If you didn't notice, that's a lot faster than the 0 to 60 on paper. And a 0 to 100, that is an incredible amount faster at 4.383 seconds. I was actually kind of astonished by how much we were beating the times that were set on paper. And the same goes for all-wheel drive, but again, it could be because of that transmission, it could be because all-wheel drive is better, but the 0 to 60 was 1.833 and the 0 to 100 4.216. Now, one thing that is crazy to note is that the rear wheel drive setup with over 1,000 horsepower and a very aggressive gear ratio basically got no wheel spin. So I think that is safe to say that rear wheel drive setups are actually going to prove to be very valuable, and I think that 0 to 100 benefit is probably going to help big time when it comes to half mile or full mile drag races, but maybe all wheel drive is still going to take it in the quarter. I do believe that we would have saw a faster 0 to 100 time if I had the same transmission on both cars, and the 0 to 60, of course, on paper the all-wheel drive setup is going to win, so I'm not fully sure what would have happened there, but likely the all-wheel drive setup would have took it. Definitely let me know what you guys think down in the comments about the performance out of rear wheel drive cars in this game. I'm gonna have a ton of videos just breaking down what I've learned about the game and sharing as much knowledge as I can with you guys, as well as just having fun live streams and everything like that. So if you guys are interested, feel free to subscribe and hit that notification bell, and I'll have a ton more daily content on the way. One thing that really blew my mind, and I honestly love about Horizon 4, a lot of people like driving rear wheel drive cars. They're just more fun to cruise around with, even if they aren't necessarily as fast as an all-wheel drive setup. You can just get some more enjoyment out of them when cruising around. And it can be really annoying in Horizon 3 when you just can't put the power down and their wheels spinning all over the place and you can't move when you actually want to move. It could also be fun for drifting, but you want them to still have some performance ability, and in Horizon 4 you really get that. I took the Mclaren Senna all the way up to X Class, completely maxed it out, but left it rear wheel drive so I could enjoy the car and also just get a feel for the physics, and I was so happy to note that we were able to beat the computers on the hardest difficulty, not easily, but with relative ease. We were able to actually drive around the track, X-Class rear wheel drive, and really maintain control of our car and be quite aggressive on the throttle actually. Of course, that is the Mclaren Senna we're talking about. Maybe things will change for something like a Ford or whatever, just some more average cars, but we'll see as time goes on. But I definitely get the feeling that rear wheel drive has been bumped up a lot. Drag radials or not, rear wheel drive is going to be a lot more usable in Horizon 4. Speaking of the Senna, I actually think there is a decent chance we could see this become the best car in Forza Horizon 4. As you guys know, the Lamborghini Centenario was the best car in Horizon 3, in X-Class that is, and I wanted to see if the Senna would take over that spot in Horizon 4, as it's also the cover car and realistically would make sense to be a top contender for that spot. So if you guys want to see all the testing I did to figure out if that was the case, feel free to click in the card above. If not, you can check it in the description of this video. With that being said, that is going to wrap this up. So in conclusion, I would say they are both very competitive with each other, but unfortunately, I don't know for sure which one is going to be better. But the fact that I'm even saying that is very exciting, and I think rear wheel drive is going to play a huge role. And by the way, yes, you can pop a wheelie with the Dodge Charger. Unfortunately though, the wheelie just wasn't as satisfying as I was hoping. I even put the big V12 engine in, was going over 1200 horsepower with no wheel spin in rear wheel drive, and was still not able to pull any, Dom Toretto style wheelies or anything of the sort. Hopefully some other cars were able to do that with, though. I think with the drag radials we should be able to do that with some cars, because that is realistic to how drag races go on in real life, and that would just be so incredible to see. Anyways guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video, or at least found it informative. Take it easy. I love you guys. Remember, your pain is your strength. I'll see you in the next one. I'm out.